He's the former president and publisher of the Sun Herald, and now he's on the radio. Welcome to Coast Vue with Ricky Matthews on SuperTalk Mississippi Gulf Coast 103.1.
Welcome to Coast Vue, the show that continues to celebrate the men and women who are making coastal Mississippi such a great place to live, work, and play. Hey, I just wanted to mention that yesterday I had a great show with Chuck Loftus, who's head of the Sand Beach in Harrison County, and with Fofo Gillage, the mayor of the city of Biloxi. Man, every day we get an opportunity to celebrate people who are working in the trenches. And, you know, the thing that kind of kept coming back up in both of those conversations was this whole notion of sense of purpose, that, you know, when you have a sense of purpose, when you really believe something and you go and work to achieve it, and it's something you're willing to die for. I mean, you're willing to give everything you've got to it. It's that simple. Finding your sense of purpose is so important. There's greatness in all of us. And when you have a sense of purpose, it sure does bring about such a wonderful life for yourself, because you believe strongly that you're working to achieve something. This show is really focused on those kind of people. They're just focused on improving life for someone or achieving some goal that's going to leave a legacy, a generational legacy, something that Fofo Gillage talked about specifically. Today we have Dane Maxwell, who's the Public Service Commission for the Southern District of Mississippi. And I want to invite him on in and say good morning to you. How you doing, Dane?
Hey, good morning, Ricky.
I want to just remind people, the Public Service Commission has multiple roles, and I'm going to hit the high points, and then you can kind of fill in the blanks a little bit. But you regulate utilities. It's gas, electric, water, sewage. You even deal with those are obviously the utilities, and telecom, and then gas pipeline safety, and the very important no-call program, which we're going to talk about here today. But there's really no rest for the weary in your world, is there?
No, in fact, we're busier than ever, and COVID has brought attention to us and some of the programs that we want to participate in, and so we can talk about those in detail as we move forward. But I think we're going to be breaking records this year.
Yeah, here's what I want to know is, you literally touch the life of every single Mississippian every single day in the work that you do, whether it's around rates or whether it's around, you know, the broadband accessibility that we're going to be talking about. I mean, the no-call list issue is a really big one, but let's stick with utilities for a second. How would you sort of describe the state of affairs, particularly, you could talk about the state if you want, but particularly in the Southern District as it relates to the utilities that you're responsible for?
Well, as you know, I worked here at the PSC before, so I really hit the ground running with a lot of experience on what we wanted to do. And the first thing is we wanted to look at the rates that we had with the power companies to see where we're at. And we were fortunate that the two big, Southern Company and Entergy, we were able to negotiate rate reductions 3 times on each entity since I've taken office. So that, along with natural gas, for example, is such a big commodity. A lot of our power companies are being run off natural gas now. So we hit the ground running. But, you know, Rick, I'm an economic development guy. I want to make sure that the people of the Gulf Coast especially see a substantial growth as we move forward. And you can't do that in today's world without high-speed internet, without gas availability, without cellular coverage, without the very important things that we circle ourselves in at the Public Service Commission.
Wow, when you say it in that respect, you realize how important the role is that the Public Service Commission plays. I would say you have a partnership with the utilities for sure, but you have a regulatory responsibility, and but the connection between those key elements that you just mentioned, power availability, natural gas, broadband access, the relationship between that and our strategic success economically as a state cannot be overstated, can it?
It can. And one of the things when I was running, there was a couple of big things that I focused on. And one was continuing an economic development as I moved forward in my job as commissioner is to prioritize a lot of the growth that the utilities are doing to expand. For example, many of our industrial parks don't have high-speed internet. Companies will not come to these industrial parks if they can't operate on high-speed internet. Many doesn't have natural gas. So we've been focused on the economic development growth. And as you well know, I have been aggressively pursuing these robocaller telemarketers and stuff. So that, along with the expansion of broadband, which COVID brought it to the forefront. We knew it was out there and we've been talking about it. We talked about it during the campaign. But the fact is, people really saw after COVID hit how short of high-speed internet infrastructure that we had, and so now we're prioritizing that.
It's a really interesting, and we'll get specifically to the two main items of today, but I'll just say this: at your time in Pascagoula and Jackson County, and your association with the Jackson County Economic Development Foundation, I saw George Freeland last night, for a matter of fact. Yeah. But the role that Jackson County plays in economic development with Ingalls and all the supporting mechanisms there and the technology companies that are there, it really did help you become a better public service commissioner because you understand how all these dots connect, don't you?
Right. And, Jackson County is the economic hub of the state pretty much because of the large industries, and having worked with those large industries, especially when I was serving as mayor, it really gave me a lot of insight too, as to from their perspective. But I'm also, I retired law enforcement, but I'm also a business guy. I've had several successful companies. But so when the unusual perspective that I take as public service commissioner is my job is to regulate those utilities, but it's also my responsibility, in my opinion, is to make sure that they're successful. Because if they're not successful and they're falling down, then their profit margins are going to have to be increased, and we're going to have to have rate increases. So I've got to do everything I can to balance those two. And I think we've done a really good job so far.
Well, as you pointed out a couple of times, the COVID has really illuminated the important enabler that broadband access is, whether we're dealing with remote work, whether we're dealing with education, it doesn't matter. The whole notion of how we can expand that and what COVID has done to sort of unleash opportunities for utilities in Mississippi to be part of the partnership to bring Mississippi to a whole new place as it relates to the World Wide Web. Give us an update on those efforts.
Well, look, we've done very well in the broadband side. As you know, we've our rural development funding, along with what the states give us, is going to give us, about $1.2 billion. Mississippi was the second largest receiver of those federal dollars, only outplayed by California because it's such a big state. But if for a rural state like we are, we grand slammed it, and we're leading the nation now, including California, in the expansion of rural broadband. And right now you're seeing fiber being laid at record paces. You've got the EPA's involved, which had never been done before. So there's a lot of historical firsts that are going on in Mississippi, and it all started because COVID allowed some of our national and state leaders to prioritize what we were going to build that foundation off of, and that was CARES Act money and rural development. And right now, I tell you, Mississippi is ahead of the game in that field.
Well, it is incredible when you talk about the electric power company, the co-ops, and their role in this. You mentioned one in the notes that you sent over, the Singing River EPA in the 400-mile fiber ring that they'll be beginning this summer. Tell me more about that.
Well, we've had several fiber rings put in place, and they'll be expanding out a circle of fiber to work out from there. And see, that's one of the things, it's very costly, and it's very time consuming to lay fiber, which is one of the reasons that we worked out and changed the law for people like Entergy and Mississippi Power, who already have an extensive fiber infrastructure. We changed the law to allow the EPAs to use, and they could lease the fiber off to the EPAs. So that right there, that just pushed us years ahead of where we would have been if we just had to start laying fiber. And so when you look at the partnerships along with C Spire, which is another big one, we've really come together in the utility world and put our thinking caps on. We've got good legislation that passed, and the governor and lieutenant governor decided they were going to invest in it along with the Trump administration and Senator Wicker, and we got it done for Mississippi.
Well, it's going to be a great success story when you think about how rural this state is, and there are opportunities for so many rural counties and rural cities to take advantage of this whole notion of remote worker. But a critical part of the attraction is going to be really kind of flawless broadband access. That's so important to that overall subject. And so many of our students in the state are rural, I can't wait till we get to where we're headed. I mean, the master plans are in place. The money is there. Mississippi is going to create a best practice for the nation, and it's going to be really proud to look back on all that and see the role we play. But let's do this. I think you have a comment you want to make about that. We're at the end of this segment. When we come back, we'll finish the conversation about what we're doing in this state to create a best practice around broadband, and then we'll talk about the no-call list. We'll be back with Dane Maxwell after this break.
Listen live or on demand and watch episodes of Coast Vue on your laptop, desktop, or on your phone or tablet by going to SuperTalkMSGulfCoast.com.
106.3 Casino Radio is here. Tune to 106.3 to discover all of our must-see attractions and everything that's happening at our 12 incredible casino resorts. Where to eat, where to stay, what to do, and where to play. 106.3 Casino Radio has you covered with everything you need to know to help make your visit here to the coast one you'll never forget. Turn on 106.3 Casino Radio or listen now on our website, CasinoRadio1063.com.
When COVID started, Gulf Coast Business Furniture and Supply began stocking hard-to-find PPE items. When Amazon and other mega internet companies were out of stock or inflating prices, Gulf Coast Business Furniture and Supply was providing local schools and businesses vital PPE supplies at fair prices. When your office needs PPE supplies, office furniture, or products to keep your business operating, consider Gulf Coast Business Furniture and Supply. We sell that too. Buy local.
Feeling down? Here's your prescription for a daily dose of good news and positive vibes. Good Things with Rebecca Turner. Every afternoon, Rebecca highlights all the good things happening right here in the state you call home. Daily exposure to Good Things with Rebecca Turner may cause smiling, feelings of positivity, happiness, and even laughter. When you experience these symptoms, tell your friends to listen.
Okay.
Weekdays starting at 2 p.m. here on SuperTalk Mississippi and now on Amazon Alexa devices. If Alexa's part of your life, you've got one more way to access SuperTalk. SuperTalk Mississippi is now available on Amazon Alexa devices. Once enabled, just say, Alexa, play SuperTalk Mississippi at any time and start listening. It's that easy. Just one more way to stay informed and connected with your state. Learn more at supertalk.fm/Alexa. SuperTalk Mississippi. SuperTalk Mississippi. Now available on Amazon Alexa devices.
Hey South Mississippi, it's Jay Allen at Jay Allen Toyota, and I got something new for you for 2021. It's the Jay Allen Certified Collection. What that means is we selected our very best inventory with under 75,000 miles, and they're 6 years old or newer. That comes with a multi-point inspection, a 10-year, 100,000-mile warranty, and a 3-day buyback guarantee. So come check out the Jay Allen Certified Pre-Owned Collection right here, I-10 exit 38 in Gulfport, or on allentoyota.com.
SuperTalk.fm has a new look and is more informative than ever with expanded Mississippi news coverage, the latest Mississippi weather, Mississippi sports, and of course, the talk that's important to you. Every show, every podcast, and every late-breaking story. Constantly updating the news the second new developments happen. All in one place. The new SuperTalk.fm. Talking to the people that help make the coast such a unique place to live. This is Coast View with Ricky Matthews on SuperTalk Mississippi Gulf Coast 103.1.
Welcome back to Coast Vue. We have Dane Maxwell, who's Public Service Commissioner for the Southern District, and we were talking about the over $1 billion of investment that's being made in bringing internet access to communities across the state of Mississippi. And you think about the filings that you guys are continuing to do and the amount of federal funds that are coming in here, the involvement of Coast Electric and Dixie Electric and Pearl River EPA and Singing River and all the other EPAs. It's incredible, the story that's being developed. You were going to make a closing thought about that, and we'll switch over to the no-call list. What were you going to point out?
Well, the fact is, we're from the coast. We live on the coast, and sometimes we forget the people just north of us and what they live, their daily lives are like. So when we set out in the early part of my administration to with the other commissioners to move forward with this broadband expansion, what we wanted to do was take in the economic development side of it that I had been pushing, and those smaller counties that are more rural, who have small light industrial parks. The idea is to work with the communicators that are doing this whole fiber ring and putting those in the middle of that, so that when we do this expansion, we're able to take those light industrial parks and offer services that they've never had. So companies all over the country will now have those opportunities to come in and get low cost, high speed internet there in those parks at the opportunity to work in Mississippi's. People are looking at that every day, but they don't want to come if they don't have these services. So that's just my final thought on that. That's one of the priorities.
Eric Hill, who's head of the entrepreneur program at Mississippi State University, has said, I think it's attributed to someone else, but he says it on a very regular basis, that Mississippi has an opportunity to become sort of the Silicon Delta, right, drawing technology jobs in here from all over the world because we have a great quality of life. The cost of living is down, and with this final sort of piece that really will enable technology, remote working, it's a key to our success going forward. So thank you for your leadership on that. Hey, the no-call list continues to be something you guys are focused on. You issued a bunch of fines, I think like 10 million last year, and you're already up to 9 million this year, which means you're really focused on it. So tell me about it.
I am laser focused on it. I get them like everybody else does every day. And one of the things that I told everyone I was going to do when I got in this office was I was going to go after those guys. Now, we hit the ground running last year, and then COVID hit, and it kind of slowed me down a little bit. But we hit about $8.5 million in fines. And one of the things that I have to reach out to Attorney General Fitch. I went and met with her, and I said, look, we really need to get focused on this. I want to get it, but I need an assistant attorney general at the PSC full time to help us prosecute this. And she did that for us. And so as the assistant prosecutor now works at my office, we've been able to really step it up. And so that's why you see, as the end of January already we fined $9.75 million, and I'm going to try to break records every month until we put these guys out of business. Because if you were sitting in my seat, Ricky, you would see that the terrible effects that these guys have on the elderly. And it's not just about being irritating; it's about stealing money. That's what it's really about for those guys.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I have a mother who lives alone. She's in her 80s. And when I go over to visit with her, several times a week to just check on her and spend time with her, her phone rings off the hook while I'm there. And she'll pick it up and she'll look at it and she'll say, another solicitor. And she'll attempt, she'll get calls on her cell phone, and she'll get calls on her landline. On her cell phone, of course, she can block the calls. But as soon as we all experience this, as soon as you block the call, the next call comes in from the same company using a different number. And man, they keep trying to, someone said the other day that the criminals around us, they just get smarter. And part of the issue of tackling them is that you got to constantly step your game up to see what their latest method is going to be, to figure out how we're going to shut the door on that as well. But that really describes the world of a telemarketer, doesn't it?
It does. And here's the thing. I get a lot of people say, well, you find all these things, you don't collect the money. And that's not true. Number one. And number two, you're never going to be able to stop it because a lot of it's overseas. And that's simply not true. The fact is the federal government, along with the state governments, are all working together to stop it. This isn't something that we're just not paying attention to. I mean, I probably find more than the last 5 commissioners combined. I'm going to keep doing it, but we can't stop. We have to keep trying, and we have to keep being smarter than those guys. They're always going to find a way. It's just like shoplifting. You're never going to be able to stop it. You just try to control it. But at the end of the day, if we can break them and hit them in the pocketbook and break their piggy bank, that's the way to do this thing. And I'm going to continue to do that.
But Dane, I believe this. If you don't do anything, it's just going to snowball out of control. And I've always believed what gets measured gets done. So if you stay focused on it and you keep the score, I love the idea of Attorney General Fitch having a special prosecutor in your office. That means you're serious about it. And that means that I would hope the conviction rate begins to go up, and the message will be sent to others who are trying to telemarket Mississippi that if you come to Mississippi, and the Public Service Commission and the Attorney General of Mississippi are super serious. So get ready to pay some fines and pay dearly if you want to do business in Mississippi. Is that the message you're wanting to send out?
Oh, absolutely. And a lot of people don't understand I have subpoena power. So I work it and use it. Another thing is I want everybody out there to know that I couldn't do it without their help. All of the cases that we're prosecuting now come from people notifying us through the MS No Call app, or either sending a email through the website. It's going to take all of us. I do this every day. If you get those numbers and you just add them to that link and shoot them up, it goes straight to our investigators, and they sit down with the prosecutor and they start working these cases and putting them together. It's just like working a criminal case back when I was in law enforcement. We've got to have the public's help to do that. I encourage everybody to download the MS No Call app and continuing to help us fight this.
So as you think about the no-call legislation, are there adjustments that need to be made to make it better? What have you learned that might do that?
Well, there's always adjustment because, they're always moving in different directions. So we look at it every year. Right now, with the fine base, as Attorney General is going to be collecting these fines, it goes into an account that helps us fight them with that money. And so it's kind of like a drug forfeiture account for law enforcement. And I think as we move forward, there are going to be some tweaks to the legislation on the no-call list, and we're going to work through those. I don't know specifically what direction they'll go into. A lot of it is text messaging now. We've transferred out of calls to text messaging. So we've got to tweak the law there coming up. So you'll see some of those, but as they move, we'll move with them. We'll try to stay ahead of them.
We're almost out of time, but I'm just curious, what's a day in the life of Dane look like these days?
It's nonstop. I love the job. I love the people I'm with. I have a tremendous staff, the commission as a whole in Jackson. But a lot of people don't understand that this is a quasi-judicial agency. So I actually sit on a bench. I have hearings and trials and stuff. So, yeah, there's a lot of reading involved.
Yeah, I can only imagine. But in your role, I mean, without a great staff, man, you'd be in serious trouble. And you mentioned because of some resources that you wanted to have in other places, you don't have the Hattiesburg office, and you've sort of consolidated the Coast office at the there on Back Bay. Tell me about that office and how do people get in touch with you guys?
Well, we're here on the Back Bay in Biloxi at the Bolton building, and it's on Bayview. We're on the second floor. Anybody can come in. Also, I have my Jackson office. Anybody can contact our office up there. One of the interesting things is most of all of our communications comes via the app or the website. And I think that's great, especially in the COVID times, because we do, we're all moving and we're staying busy. But yeah, you can just go to the website, shoot the message, contact us, and call. The 800 number is 1-800-356-6429. You can get us there, and it'll come straight in here to my office.
Oh, that's good. So remind me how often the Public Service Commission meets.
Well, we meet once a month, and that's when we have court. And we'll have hearings and stuff. But, I'm meeting with utilities, leadership, the staff, the utility staff is part of us. And so there's a lot of meetings that take place, but the actual docket hearing is once a month.
Well, listen, Dane Maxwell, Southern Public Service Commissioner, I really appreciate you joining us. It's always informative when you spend some time together. Your work is super important. I look forward to visiting again soon. And anyway, thanks for joining us today.
Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it.
You bet. When we come back, we'll have Jeff Duncan from The Athletic, and we'll talk about the Super Bowl and what the latest is on the Saints. We'll see you after this break.
Broadcasting safe and sound from the coastal Mississippi studios. This is Coast View with Ricky Matthews on SuperTalk 103.1.
Hey, South Mississippi, the future has arrived. It's 2021, and at J. Allen Toyota, we're here to serve you. Want to let you know that we have Allen's lifetime warranty on every new Toyota we sell. That also comes with Toyota Care. That's 2 years and 25,000 miles of complimentary maintenance. We have a great rental department. Our service department's ready to take care of your current vehicle. We're rolling out J. Allen certified pre-owned for 2021. You got to come to I-10 exit 38 right here in Gulfport. You're going to love what we have to offer. When you think Toyota, think Allen Toyota.
SuperTalk.fm has a new look and is more informative than ever with expanded Mississippi news coverage, the latest Mississippi weather, Mississippi sports, and of course, the talk that's important to you. Every show, every podcast, and every late-breaking story. Constantly updating the news the second new developments happen. All in one place. The new SuperTalk.fm.
106.3 Casino Radio is here. Tune to 106.3 to discover all of our must-see attractions and everything that's happening at our 12 incredible casino resorts. Where to eat, where to stay, what to do, and where to play. 106.3 Casino Radio has you covered with everything you need to know to help make your visit here to the coast one you'll never forget. Turn on 106.3 Casino Radio or listen now on our website, CasinoRadio1063.com.
Never know who or what you'll hear when I spend a Mississippi Minute with my friends. Talking to Paul Thorne, Mississippi true treasure, really incredible recording artist, singer, songwriter. Has been doing it a long time, doing it the right way.
It's almost like a Forrest Gump thing because I was a boxer, / I worked in a furniture factory, / I had a gig 2 nights a week playing my acoustic guitar in a pizza restaurant, / I was in the National Guard, and
wow.
All this stuff was going on at the same time. / I had a writing contract with Rick Hall and Fame.
In a Mississippi Minute. Be sure to check out In a Mississippi Minute with me, Steve Azar, right here on SuperTalk Mississippi, the SuperTalk Mississippi app, and now available on iTunes, Google Play, and Stitcher.
Thousands of Bulldog fans have subscribed to the Thunder and Lightning podcast. Have you? On each episode, Brian Haydad and Joel Coleman give you an inside look at your Mississippi State Bulldogs. The Thunder and Lightning podcast is free and available on demand at supertalk.fm and on your smartphone. Just search for Thunder and Lightning on iTunes, Google Play, or anywhere you listen to podcasts. Thunder and Lightning from SuperTalk, Mississippi, covering the Bulldogs like no one else. What decisions are being made by state lawmakers, and how will they affect you, your family, and community? If you listen, you'll know. SuperTalk Mississippi, the SuperTalk app, and at supertalk.fm.
Hi, I'm Billy Kinder, host of Big Billy Kinder Outdoors. Here the show Saturdays at 1, right here on SuperTalk Mississippi. Turkeys, whitetail, Grenada Lake crappie, or Gulfport redfish. We enjoy it all, especially when you're in camp with us on SuperTalk Mississippi.
If Alexa's part of your life, you've got one more way to access SuperTalk. SuperTalk Mississippi is now available on Amazon Alexa devices. Once enabled, just say, Alexa, play SuperTalk Mississippi at any time and start listening. It's that easy. Just one more way to stay informed and connected with your state. Learn more at supertalk.fm/Alexa. SuperTalk Mississippi. SuperTalk Mississippi. Now available on Amazon Alexa devices.
Heart attacks and strokes don't stay home. So don't avoid the ER out of anxiety. Don't die of doubt. If you have an emergency, call 911. When seconds count, the hospital is the safest place to be.
Everyone knows the only thing better than pizza is free pizza, and right now, buy a $10 gift certificate to CiCi's Pizza for only $5. It's like buying a pizza and getting a pizza for free. Go to our station's website or Facebook. Look for the Half Off Deals logo to purchase this amazing deal right now.
When COVID started, Gulf Coast Business Furniture and Supply began stocking very hard-to-find PPE items to make our community a safer place. When Amazon and other mega internet companies were out of stock or inflating prices, Gulf Coast Business Furniture and Supply was providing local schools and businesses vital PPE supplies at fair prices. They were even sending thousands of dollars of PPE supplies free to local schools in need with help from other local business leaders. The next time your office needs PPE supplies, office furniture, or products to keep your business operating, consider a local company that supports your ball teams, cheerleaders, and area homeless. Consider Gulf Coast Business Furniture and Supply, the local guys that keep your prices fair, your service and selection excellent, and your health our business. Gulf Coast Business Furniture and Supply. We sell that too. Buy local.
He's the former president and publisher of the Sun Herald, and now he's on the radio. Welcome to Coast View with Ricky Matthews on SuperTalk Mississippi Gulf Coast 103.1.
Welcome back to Coast View. Now we're going to shift gears and move to our sort of modified Saints Friday. We have Jeff Duncan from The Athletic here. He's here every Friday to kind of give us, what's going on in the sports world, what's going on in the football world, what's going on with the Saints. But this past week, everyone's obviously sort of processing the Super Bowl, and what was a complete domination by the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I know we expected it to be a high-scoring game and all of that, but they basically shut Pat Mahomes down. What's your read on now that you've had a week to kind of think about it?
Well, hey, look, I picked the Bucs. That's one thing I did do correct. I just felt like they were playing so well at the end of the year. I mean, I think in a lot of ways, Ricky, we want to kind of bring up how it relates to the Saints. All the struggles that Saints fans saw the Saints have against the Bucs in that game, and the frustrations maybe with not being able to get the ball down the field, and Drew Brees is having to hold the ball and run around. We saw Patrick Mahomes go through the exact same thing. So I think it's educational for everyone just to kind of tip your hat to the Tampa Bay Bucs. They were just playing extremely well. They got hot at the right time. They were very confident, and they just outplayed the Chiefs in every phase of the game. So I was a little surprised it was that one-sided, but I really felt like the Bucs were the better team.
It's, you've talked about this so often, and that is that teams peak. And you saw in the Tampa Bay team, even in that second game, what the Saints win 30-3 or whatever the final score was. But from that point on, you saw Tampa begin to get it together. They were getting some of their players back. You were seeing the communication between the quarterback and the receivers really start to kick in. They were making big plays. The defense was playing really good. You were seeing the offensive line doing protection. A lot of the things that were making the Saints so darn good, but the Saints were kind of coming off a little bit, and man, they were peaking. And that's just the way it works in the NFL. This was this year's team, wasn't it?
Yeah, and I think the key for their team was just how their defense became a dominant unit. I mean, by the end of the year, you could pick in the early part of the season, you could pick on their secondary. They had a lot of young guys back there. Rookie Antoine Winfield Jr. at free safety, Carlton Davis, Sean Murphy-Bunting. I mean, these were guys that were finding their way in the league. And by the end of the season, they had gelled as a unit and were playing extremely well. They figured it out. They had a great confidence. And you saw what happened. I mean, look, they took Tyreek Hill out of the game. They had a great plan for Jason Kelce. That high-powered Chiefs offense could not really function. And I know that the Chiefs were missing 4 of their 5 starting offensive linemen. That obviously played a huge role. But the fact is even when he had time, there weren't players open downfield. And that's a credit to Todd Bowles and that secondary, which came on. And I think they're going to be a force to be reckoned with. That's a young defense for the most part for the Bucs coming back. And we already know that Tom Brady has said he's coming back. So they're going to be a factor and a headache for the Saints for years to come.
You're watching, you all the points you made about the defensive backs, man, they played lights out the whole game. And the defensive line, man, they were just relentless. I mean, they would bust through, and I have never seen Patrick Mahomes run for his life like he had to run for his life in that Super Bowl. It was really amazing to watch, wasn't it?
Yeah, and I think a lot of it had to do with attrition. I mean, can you imagine, Ricky, if the Saints went into the Super Bowl without Terron Armstead, Ryan Ramczyk, Eric McCoy, and say Andres Pete? I mean, that's what you're dealing with. 4 of their 5 starting offensive linemen weren't there. And that's just not going to, no matter what, you can say next man up, but there's a reason those guys were starting. And it showed in that game. I thought Tampa really got after them. And they really dominated the game. I mean, they could have scored more. They were on the 1-yard line early in the game and didn't even get any points out of it. So there was a lot of reasons to believe that Tampa was the best team in the league by the end of the year, and it showed.
Well, so 2 New Orleanians, Tyrann Mathieu and Leonard Fournette, got to play in the Super Bowl. And of course, it turned out well for Leonard Fournette. I mean, you could see that Tyrann Mathieu was pretty frustrated most of the day. But boy, you follow these guys' careers. An amazing set of circumstances kind of falls in place for both of these guys, which has them ending up in the Super Bowl playing one another. So it's an amazing situation, wasn't it?
Yeah, Tyrann Mathieu got his ring last year, and then this year his former, buddy, his longtime buddy, Leonard Fournette. Now he's older than Fournette, but I believe they played about 3 years apart at St. Aug. Leonard Fournette got a ring as well. And look, anyone around here, Ricky, we all know. I remember going to see Leonard Fournette play at St. Aug when he was a sophomore. And he was the best high school football player I've ever seen. I've never seen anyone that dominant. He was just a man among boys at that age. And he continued that way on into his career as the #1 high school player in the country. And then went to LSU and was dominant there. And then his career kind of fizzled out a little bit in Jacksonville. And what a pickup for the Bucs. I mean, you have to credit not only the Bucs front office and personnel department, but also it's a credit to Tom Brady. I mean, in mid-season or before the season, they picked up Rob Gronkowski. Then they get Leonard Fournette the week before the season. And then they get Antonio Brown during the season. All 3 guys were Pro Bowl caliber players that just kind of wanted to jump on board the Tom Brady train. And they all end up scoring touchdowns in the Super Bowl. And I mean, that just doesn't happen. It's a testament to Tom Brady and how much a player like that can attract other great players to be a part of a team.
Well, I had so many of my friends that were saying Drew Brees is the GOAT. Man, every single one of them to a person is, man, you got to give it to Brady. What an amazing accomplishment. Unbelievable.
Yeah, and a lot of the same things I heard Bucs players saying about Tom Brady afterward are the things I've heard Saints players for years say about Drew Brees. It's not the physical attributes. It's not the tangibles. It's the intangibles, the leadership, the work ethic, the commitment, the camaraderie, the team building stuff that Brady does. He builds confidence in his teammates because of his greatness. It's kind of like when you play pickup basketball at the park and you knew you had the best guy in the neighborhood on your team. You knew you were going to probably win because you had the guy on your team. That's what I think great players like Brees and Brady do to their teammates. And we saw that in the Super Bowl. Tom Brady didn't have the statistical numbers that everybody wants to see, but he just led the team and got it done. Whenever they had a chance, he made the big pass. He's no doubt about it, the greatest of all time. There's no denying it.
So you wrote the book on the Brees and Peyton dynasty. And you mentioned about the intangibles, and I mentioned to you before the show that Peter Finney Jr. wrote a story that NOLA.com aggregated on their site, but it was a great story about a man who goes to St. Rita Church, and he'd gone to church there every morning for 7:00 Mass, and this guy used to come in at 6:30 and sit in the back, and just before Mass started, he would leave, and he noticed him every single day. He would just come to church, and finally he kind of met up with him, this small guy, he referred to him, and it ended up being Drew Brees. And he said, are you Catholic? And Drew said, no, I'm not. He said, well, too bad, because I'd love for you to come meet at Knights of Columbus or whatever it is he was talking about. But, Drew kind of gave him a smile. But people came to know that he was there and were just, friendly and gave him his space. And he would come in, pray, and leave just before Mass. But, I mean, how many things like that do we not know about Drew Brees and the things that he does to become a solid person?
Yeah, I thought that was a great story, and it doesn't surprise me at all. I mean, Brees is a very devout, Christian. I know that it means a lot to him. He tells me in the morning one of the first things he does is read Bible scripture before he goes out to do his game prep at Saints camp. So this is probably part of his routine that I'm sure he did for years. It's on his way out to the Saints facility, St. Rita, so it makes a lot of sense. And I thought it was just a tremendous story about how he keeps it private and doesn't necessarily trumpet a lot of the things he does. And it also says a lot about New Orleanians. That's one of the things I think Drew loves about the city and has always loved is you can be a celebrity here, but people are used to that and they let you live your life and they don't hassle you. And that's a good example of it.
Yeah, I remember when I became president of NOLA Media Group, and we were talking about our entertainment coverage and all of that. And I in a meeting, I said something like, gosh, think of the celebrities that live here and the movies that are going on. We should do a better job of sort of capturing some of that. And you say, well, we'll do it to an extent. But sort of part of the thing here in New Orleans is that we respect the space of those celebrities that are here. And it was really kind of deep in the culture of the city that you guys thought that. I mean, that was kind of important, wasn't it?
Yeah. I mean, I live not far from Audubon Park, so I see Drew and his kids at Audubon Park all the time. And they're always kind of out in the middle playing. Sometimes if they get new toys, they'll be out there. He gets away from the track and where most of the people are at, but people see him and no one comes up to bother him. They let him have his space. And I've actually seen Bryan Cranston, the great actor. I saw him there about a year ago at the park, and people knew it was him, but they let him be. So I think it's part of the culture and kind of the cool joie de vivre in this city.
When we come back after this break with Jeff Duncan from The Athletic, I want to talk about the energy building around Jameis Winston. I think there's some steam I'm sensing. And also the Pro Football Hall of Fame selection committee and some interesting anecdotes about that. We'll be back after this break.
Coast View on SuperTalk 103.1 is brought to you by J. Allen Toyota on I-10 exit 38 Gulfport. See all the incredible inventory at allentoyota.com. And remember, when you think Toyota, think J. Allen Toyota.
SuperTalk.fm has a new look and is more informative than ever with expanded Mississippi news coverage, the latest Mississippi weather, Mississippi sports, and of course, the talk that's important to you. Every show, every podcast, and every late-breaking story. Constantly updating the news the second new developments happen. All in one place. The new SuperTalk.fm.
Hey, South Mississippi, it's Jay Allen at Jay Allen Toyota, and I got something new for you for 2021. It's the Jay Allen Certified Collection. What that means is we selected our very best inventory with under 75,000 miles, and they're 6 years old or newer. That comes with a multi-point inspection, a 10-year, 100,000-mile warranty, and a 3-day buyback guarantee. So come check out the Jay Allen Certified Pre-Owned Collection right here at I-10 exit 38 in Gulfport or on allentoyota.com.
Hey, I'm Steve Azar, and you never know who or what you'll hear when I spend a Mississippi Minute with my friends. We're here with the fabulous Norbert Putnam as he played on so many hit records, you can't count them, and produced for some of the biggest acts ever. Norbert, Elvis.
And I want to tell you about Presley. He had two different voices. He would sit and talk to me, in a very calm, low voice. And we were at Stack's one night, and we were having lunch. We always had lunch at midnight because he was nocturnal. We sat there and we have our sandwiches, and at 1 o'clock, he looked up. He said, "Hey, Pot, come on, it's time for me to go beat off." And he stood up, and a much deeper voice, he put on his macho voice. "Hey, fellas, it's 1 o'clock. Let's get cracking, okay?"
In a Mississippi Minute.
Be sure to check out In a Mississippi Minute with me, Steve Azar, right here on SuperTalk Mississippi, Amazon Alexa, and now on iTunes, Google Play, and Stitcher.
106.3 Casino Radio is here. Tune to 106.3 to discover all of our must-see attractions and everything that's happening at our 12 incredible casino resorts. Where to eat, where to stay, what to do, and where to play. 106.3 Casino Radio has you covered with everything you need to know to help make your visit here to the coast one you'll never forget. Turn on 106.3 Casino Radio or listen now on our website, casinoradio1063.com.
SuperTalk Mississippi, your new home for the Ben Shapiro Show.
We don't hold back. We never shy away from telling you the truth.
The most electrifying national talk show on air today.
We have the most important guests and the biggest thinkers in America.
Ben Shapiro, brutally breaking down the issues of the day.
From politics to pop culture, we take a look at all of it. So don't miss out.
Weeknights at 9.
For something new and unique in talk radio, take a listen to The Ben Shapiro Show.
On SuperTalk Mississippi. When you listen to SuperTalk Mississippi, you become part of a statewide community, a community of knowledgeable, engaged, enlightened, well-informed, hard-working men and women just like you, all eager to see the Magnolia State grow and prosper. There may be some disagreement on how to get there, but the goal remains the same, for each Mississippian to reach their American dream. Thanks for listening and being a part of the conversation on SuperTalk Mississippi.
When COVID started, Gulf Coast Business Furniture and Supply began stocking hard-to-find PPE items. When Amazon and other mega internet companies were out of stock or inflating prices, Gulf Coast Business Furniture and Supply was providing local schools and businesses vital PPE supplies at fair prices. When your office needs PPE supplies, office furniture, or products to keep your business operating, consider Gulf Coast Business Furniture and Supply. We sell that too. Buy local.
Talking to the people that help make the coast such a unique place to live. This is Coast View with Ricky Matthews on SuperTalk Mississippi Gulf Coast 103.1.
Welcome back to Coast View. We have Jeff Duncan with us. He's a writer and columnist for The Athletic, and he's covered the Saints more than anyone else on earth, and a former colleague at the Times-Picayune, NOLA.com, and NOLA Media Group. But before we went to the break, we talked about a lot of the dynamics of the Super Bowl and, you know, local guys who were involved in that. But we'll shift gears now. We talked a little bit about Drew Brees. There's a lot of steam, you know, and I get that they're wanting Winston, Jameis Winston, and my mind just went blank.
Taysom Hill.
Taysom Hill, of course. They want them to compete. They want them to compete big time. But as you pointed out on past shows, Jameis Winston is a free agent, and there's a lot of teams that probably are calling him right now. So, you know, they're throwing the love kisses his way. But how do you think this is going to turn out?
Yeah, look, I think there's a strategy involved by Sean Payton and the organization to try and get Jameis back in the building. They're very high on him, and they liked everything they saw from him last year. It was kind of like an audition in a way for both sides to get to know each other all last season. They got to see behind closed doors how he worked, and I've heard nothing but positive reports on him. Clearly, he's going to have to make a decision himself, Ricky. Does he want to take maybe a lesser deal, come back with the Saints because he sees the opportunity, the roster that's in place is certainly good enough to compete for a playoff spot again? Or does he want to maybe take big money in the open market if there's that available to him? I think it's a much more quarterback-friendly market this year than it was a year ago. There are a lot of teams needing veteran quarterback play like himself. So I could see where he's a little conflicted by it. But I do think the Saints make a very compelling pitch to him. Come in, he'd probably compete with Taysom Hill for the starting job. And I think he probably feels confident he could win that job and be the successor to Drew Brees and have this great roster around him that he really didn't have nearly as talented a roster in Tampa as he would have here.
You know, let's think about it for a minute. We've talked about it before. He's smart. He's picked up this offense that you need a PhD in to execute. He has the physical skills. My goodness. I mean, he can throw the ball. How far? 70 yards. I don't know how far he can throw the ball. But wouldn't it be amazing to have his physical attributes and his smartness without the issues he had at Tampa Bay, to really have it together here so that we could literally potentially stretch this extraordinarily talented offense to a whole new level. And then if Taysom would accept that and play a similar role in this offense that he played this year, that could be super dynamic.
Yeah, that's the intriguing possibility with Jameis Winston. Is his physical skill set is as good as anyone in the league. Can he get past some of the decision-making issues that really sidetracked his career and led to his end in Tampa? I think it's a huge question mark. You have to, if you're a Saints fan, you have to look at the glass half full, and that you've got Sean Payton and this really good offensive coaching staff. They've got a lot of great players around him where he wouldn't have to carry the team. But I'm still a little skeptical, to be honest with you. I think, I heard a lot of the same things about Cam Newton when he came into New England, that he was going to get with Bill Belichick and Josh McDaniels, and this great coaching staff would play to his strengths. And he looked like the same guy to me in New England that he was in Carolina. And so I'm in kind of a show me mode with Jameis Winston. Let's see it. I want to see if he can prove it to me that he can get past some of those hiccups that really derailed his career.
You're on the Pro Football Hall of Fame selection committee. Of course, Peyton Manning got in this year. Tell me about some of the dynamics that you observed this year.
Well, there's one representative per each NFL market. I took the mantle from my mentor, Peter Finney, who was on the committee for decades. And basically, you're there to represent anyone that might come through your market. For instance, I represented and made the presentation for Sam Mills, the former Saints linebacker and also Carolina Panthers linebacker, at this year's meeting. We did it virtually for the first time, Ricky, because of the coronavirus pandemic. And actually, I was surprised at how well it went. It felt very normal. The process went just about as well as it ever has, even in that big room that we usually meet in. Everyone got a chance to be heard. And the way it works is you present a case for 5 minutes. You almost feel like a defense attorney in court making a case for why your client should be in the Hall of Fame, and you talk about their career. Then there's an open discussion after that among the selection committee members about that candidate. And then we go to the next candidate, and we do go through all 15 that way. We have to whittle it down to 5 at the end. We take a vote. And there's a lot of back and forth. It's a very candid conversation. There's a lot of people that go against somebody. So it can be very heated. And this year, it actually went, I think, about as smooth as you could expect, with the 3 strong first-year candidates all getting in: Calvin Johnson, Charles Woodson, and Peyton Manning.
Peyton Manning, as they described, was a drop the mic moment. He mentioned his name and that was, a couple of other words, and that was about it. Drop the mic. You're going to get the opportunity in 5 years to introduce Drew Brees. I think what you'll be able to say is Drew, and that'd be maybe the shortest speech ever given. Maybe it will be. I don't know.
Yeah, so they keep track of that, and we did the same with Brett Favre a few years back. Maybe you're right. I'll do one word. Instead of 2 names, I'll do one. It'll make Drew the shortest.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. Well, anyway, this has been Jeff Duncan from The Athletic. Thanks for joining us, buddy.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Have a great weekend, Ricky.
And we'll see you next week. Take care and have a great weekend.